Now in this lecture I'll go over using workspaces, which are basically custom layouts. There's a number of predefined workspaces at the top of the window here already. And as you come to understand Blender's tools and editors better, you'll know more about how you'd personally like Blender set up to suit your workflow. Now each one of these workspaces up here has a different layout that's useful for different tasks, so it's all pretty simple in what these are for. Like modeling takes you into edit mode, and it also gets rid of the timeline at the bottom so there's more room to model. Then sculpting takes you into sculpt mode and enables sculpting shading, this red shading here, which is really useful for sculpting. And it also brings up the sculpting tools over here in the properties editor. Then there's all the others like animation and compositing and so on. So all of these can really come in handy when you want to change the layout or open different editors. Now we don't actually need to switch between different workspaces in order to get a different layout or to use different editors. We can stay in the default layout workspace, and like we learned in the last lecture, we can just customize this whenever we need to. But it really does come in handy to have a whole collection of workspaces up here that's already been customized to your liking. And we can in fact customize each one of these workspaces just like we customized the layout workspace in the last lecture. So for example, if I go over to the UV editing workspace, we have the UV editor on the left side here, but let's say I also wanted the shader editor. So I'll simply split the area and switch the top editor to the shader editor. And there we go. Now if I save this startup file, it's going to save this new layout as the UV editing workspace. But before I save the startup file, let's switch back to the regular layout workspace. Because if we save the startup file when it's set to the UV editing workspace, then every time you open up Blender, this is going to be your default look. Now you can also create new custom workspaces as well. We can click on the plus sign at the end of the workspaces here, and we can add in a pre-made workspace, or we can also choose duplicate current, which will create a new workspace with the current layout. So you can see up in the workspaces here we have layout 0.001, which is a duplicate of the default layout. And now we can rename this by double clicking on it and then giving it a new name. And you can also right click on these workspaces for other options as well, including delete and reordering. And now that we've created the new custom workspace, we can customize this to look however we want. And then when you're done customizing, remember to go up into the file menu, then down in defaults, save the startup file. Otherwise you're going to lose all your customization if you close Blender without saving the defaults. And that's basically all there is to it. Again, you'll know more about how you want Blender customized as you gain more experience with it. But that'll do it for this lecture, so I'll see you in the next one.